And that makes the bonding kind of slippery. And that means when all this water is being pushed in from the Atlantic into the Gulf Stream, or into the Mexican Gulf and into the stream, it skids off the salt because the water is like an icy road. So when it comes in, it's getting flung out, but it's going to, yeah, basically disperse. And as long as that continues, there will be no Gulf Stream. But there will be a huge pollution, enormous. And it will not just be in the Mexican Gulf, it will be everywhere, because there is also the sub-conveyor belt from the Atlantic, and that one lies below the Mexican Gulf oil stream. And when that is carrying that stuff around, it's going to carry that around the entire planet. So this is absolutely insane, but I urge you to go in and read the rest of this article, because this has to be stopped. And that has to be stopped if it's true, even with force. Don't care about the military or anyone down there doing what they're doing out there. They are all your enemies. The entire planet's enemies. And they're just getting away with this. This cannot be true. I honestly thought they found something down there. They might even have found something down there. I don't know. There were some weird pictures of something they were staring into, and they were using 6 hours in a row with a rover sitting there and monitoring this opening, this metal thing. Why are they doing that while stuff is floating in and out of it? That is peculiar. Don't they have other things to do than just sit there and stare? I don't know. Well, well, I ran over my 15 minutes, so I'll continue. BP could be liable for 100% damages if gross negligence is proven, says Jacqueline Weaver, who teaches energy law at the University Houston Law Center. U.S. lawmakers said this week that BP made decisions that increased the risk of a blowout, that the world was to save the company's time or expense. BP didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. The uncertainty about Anadarko's liability underscores the unprecedented nature of this crisis that began in April, when a Transocean Limited rig drilling for BP in the U.S. Gulf exploded and sank, unleashing the largest offshore spill the country has ever seen. BP so far has spent more than $1.6 billion in cleaning up the spill, and its ultimately liability could be much higher. On Wednesday, the company agreed to establish a $20 billion escrow account to pay for damages. Anadarko said Wednesday it had been invoiced by BP for its share of cleanup costs, although it didn't disclose the amount. Analysts with investment banks UBS estimate that the total cost of the operation could reach between $20 billion and $50 billion, a figure based on what ExxonMobil Corporation, XOM, paid for the 1989 Exxon Valdez spill. But the analyst said that the Anadarko ends up paying a quarter of that cost, it could survive. If Anadarko liability comes into the low end of the range of $5 billion, the company could easily afford it. UBS analyst William Featherstone said Anadarko currently has $3.7 billion in cash and unused credit capacity of $1.3 billion. Additionally, its assets that are not producing cash on the onshore U.S. of offshore Africa with estimated value of $14 billion. If the price tag is larger than that, Anadarko would have issue equity and have to issue equity and sell large percentage of its international and U.S. Gulf of Mexico non-producing discoveries. But even if it had paid $12.5 billion, the company will be able to bear the financial burden, Featherstone said. Investors has been bracing for worse outcome than that the analyst has imagined. Anadarko shares have tumbled 40% since April 20th, the day the rig exploded. The decline sharpened last week. Anadarko was down 19% on Wednesday, alone in a move that Barclay Capital analyst said disproportionate to the highest amount of money Anadarko could be liable for. The stock was trading Wednesday afternoon at 42.70, down 4.5% from the previous session. BP has said it won't be limited by 75 million cap on oil spill. Economic damages established under the Oil Pollution Act of 1990 and won't seek reimbursement from the Federal Trust Fund. But Anadarko has refrained from openly joining BP in that stance. Spokesman John Christensen said that in an email statement that the company will do what is right, and it's a question regarding its liability will be answered at the appropriate time. Well, does that sound familiar? It will be answered at the appropriate time. Well, that sounds like 9/11. Condoleezza Rice came out and said, well, we have the evidence, right? And we will give them to you in due time. Whoa. Now, let's visit some of Obama's SARS. Okay, what else? DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. They testing for production refined algae into jet fuel. DARPA expects to produce 50 million gallons by 2011. So who tells and pays DARPA? Yep, you guessed it. SAIC and General Atomics. Let's go back to the Gulf of Mexico. MMS is responsible for the offshore drilling leases in all federal waters. Under that 2009 contract to SAIC to study the loop current, it seems knowledge is only good to 3,000. I don't know what that means. I think it's feet that's meant here. Beyond 3,000 feet, there are highly significant larger stresses put on drilling platforms, anchoring systems, and risers. Below 10,000 feet, the pipe must be flexible because of vibrations in the strength and the direction of the currents, and the pipes are quite likely to break. Because of engineers topside cannot see or predict current, but they will often feel them. They must shut down the rigs until conditions become safer. Technology yet has not reached the depths and associated currents to measure the whole risk. Currently, all conditions are measured by SAIC through satellite remote sensing, but only to 3,000 feet. Let's not forget, all this capitalism at its best when it comes to corporations, providing goods and services and jobs, especially to the federal government. Now, I will add to it. Please bear with me on all these links. I will outline each to save time. Links are to source and reference so you can all see where we got the info from. Capitalism at its best. That will depend on what the writer meant by best, I guess. And they add to it. Millions of more barrels of oil and correxit are added to the Gulf Stream waters. As Woody Guthrie would sing. After reading this, let's pick out just one of the players mentioned for a mental test. Mild-mannered Bush-Obama Department of Defense Secretary Robert Gates. Have you really known him, or did you merely assume that he was a nice American guy? What are you thinking now? I don't know. It is not bad answer at all for the moment. So that's what's going on right now. This is disgusting, to say the least. So they're gonna completely ruin everybody's life in the Mexican Gulf. I'm talking Yucatan, Venezuela, Cuba, Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, yeah, all of them, Mexico, Texas, all of you. You got no place to live soon. You can't be there because of the toxicity. Even the algae are probably toxic too. So there will be no more bathing in that water, and I strongly encourage you not to ever go that water again. I don't know what to suggest to you, but this should require a nationwide and even worldwide outcry and protest with every means necessary in order to make them stop that oil leak and make them stop all the business they have been doing down there, and then let some other private comes in and take care of the problem and get this mess cleaned up in the right fashion. We cannot allow this. It is millions of people's lives which is destroyed. Millions of people's lives are in health danger, and not only around the coast area, it is all the way up through the Midwest. This is some serious stuff. Very serious. So I was right. It's not about the oil, it's about something else. It's definitely something else. I think that will be all for now. You can go in and check all the links. I'm going to put them down below, and you can do your own research on it. And I thank you, Christiana Garrett, for this one. This is startling. Shocking. Yeah, I am on the edge of the chair, that's for sure. This has got to stop. Serious. You must do whatever it takes. If it gets bloody, so be it. This has to stop. For everybody's sake. God bless you.